And we're good to go.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. We actually do have a pretty decent turnout here today, and actually a couple of names I don't think I've seen before, so that's neat. Uh, Normally, I ask people to look at the agenda and read the updates on their own, but since there's so few of them, I will just go through them and I will go through them myself. Next meeting dates are currently still third the third Friday of each month at 6 p.m. And we're still doing them here on Discord because there's really no way to do them in person still. The big update, of course, is that we now have confirmation the convention is going to be postponed again. June is not going to happen, and I think we all pretty much figured that by now. Just looking at the pace of vaccination and the way COVID trends are going. The replacement date is still being contracted, but it should still be in 2021. It should be later this year. And when I wrote the agenda yesterday, I did not have a contract addendum in hand. I still don't have one in hand, but I have seen a draft as of today. I am holding off on announcing the date, but we will be able to announce the new date in probably just a few days when I have a signed addendum. So that will not be long. And Verta has been kindly helping me figure out how to get the convention transitioned into a 501c3, and that process has begun. And Verta, you can speak more about that if you like, but I think the main takeaway is just that it's going to take a long time because it's got to go through the IRS, and that takes a long time, especially because they probably have a big backlog right now.
Yeah, I don't have any specific things that I feel the need to share, but people are certainly, when we get to Q&A, I'm certainly happy to answer questions if people have any concerns about how that will work or what it will affect. But in general, it's looking at an 8 to 15 month time frame.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, can you give us maybe like a high level overview of what the steps are that might be required? I don't know if it's a lot, that's okay.
No,
I
I can do
don't
that
think
real
there's
quick if you
anything
want.
the volunteers have to do, but yeah.
No, but just so you know,
I
it's
mean,
basically we have to change. We have to rewrite the bylaws, get those changed because the IRS requires certain wording, and then we have to apply to basically apply with the IRS, which is a big old form, and they basically ask you, especially for an existing organization like us, they ask us about our last 5 years of financial history. They'll ask about um, a couple, quirk things, and then they'll ask like one big section of like, okay, tell us why you should be this, and then it's usually write up a story, tell us everything you have done and why that qualifies you as a 501c3. The primary reason we're making this change is because it's not going to hurt us with how we're already running the con. It will benefit us and enable us to do some other stuff in the future if we want. It's nothing that is planned, but it just sort of opens some doors. And about half of the furry cons in the U.S. Out of the top 20 or so are 501c3s, and I believe the most recent one was approved just 2 years ago. So it's something that the IRS has been approving. So you might as well take advantage of it.
Yep. Yeah, back in 2012 when I initially formed this, there weren't as many that were C3, more of them were C7. And from what I read of the sort of official allowable missions of C3s, it didn't feel like a convention fit that mold very well. And it felt like it fit the C7 mold better. But the IRS seems to feel otherwise because they've been approving plenty of furry conventions as C3s. So there's no reason for us not to do it too.
Yeah, a lot of the applications also focus on the contributions to like animal welfare and education type things, which is why they're getting approved.
Yeah. Which we're still doing plenty of.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it. I don't need to go over the reminders. They're just the same thing from last month or last meeting. So I think before Q&A, since Verta wanted to talk about some cleaning techniques, I think I'll let you go ahead and speak to that if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not going to talk about like techniques specifically, but just in regards to the
Sure.
whole the reminders part where it says, department leads, please tell us what you want. it may also be useful, maybe even more useful, instead of trying to figure out exactly what you need, try and figure out and write down a list of what you might need to clean or where you interact with people. And then from there, we can figure out together what supplies might be necessary. It may be easier to think of what are the kinds of things that I do instead of what are the things that I need for cleaning.
Okay.
Just so it'd be like, oh, at dealer's den we have, we have the con store, and then we have this other thing, and for HRs, like we have a desk that's kind of open. For con ops, we have an enclosed room, and we talk to people here and here. It may make it easier to understand where things are necessary, and it might make it easier for department leads just to think of it in terms of that instead of trying to think of every possible type of cleaning they'd have to do, and then we can collectively work on that.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Uh,
That's probably a better way to do that.
it also kind of makes a lead try to think about, well, where do I really have contact? Kind of just makes you sit and think about it.
Hmm. And also maybe they'll think of ways to minimize that contact.
Yeah, kind of breaking in on this. I recall even NPR had an article a couple months ago just talking about, do we really need to clean as much? And it was like, aside from heavy contact surfaces, it was being found that no, not really. It isn't surface contacted as much.
Yeah, that's starting to become more like there's starting to be more research that's pointing that direction, but it can't hurt to keep doing it.
Right. Also, I
And
believe
yeah.
it's a huge burden.
Part of Tycho's concern was even just outside of COVID, just for con crud in general, that if we could reduce how much that is a thing, that would be worth it.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of stuff that isn't COVID that still spreads at cons and probably does spread pretty easily on surfaces, like norovirus.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that you
Pretty
put
sure
in
I
the
got one
reminders.
here.
Yeah, well, exactly. It makes sense to actually have cleaning regimen for those surfaces that thousands of people are touching constantly.
Yeah, like elevator buttons and doorknobs.
Especially the elevator buttons.
Yeah, it was after I think it was MFF 2016 that I swore off on ever eating food with my hands at furry convention when I'm at a convention and just eat everything with utensils. Period. Because I just went out and had some pizza because we're in Chicago. Gotta have pizza. Well, it's not pizza; it's casserole. But gotta go have casserole. And
Shots
obviously,
fired.
you eat that with your hands. And then I was really sick the next day, like like feverish and kind of falling apart, and missed half the
Ew.
con because that was Saturday that I was sick. And
That's no fun.
I think it's just you can only wash your hands so much, and you only have to forget once. When it's pretty easy to just eat everything with a knife and fork instead.
If it was up to me, I would have a rolling waterfall of disinfectant on the base strip of every escalator.
Can we get the buffet to install like a hand sanitizer chocolate fountain,
So
except without the chocolate?
I didn't really want to litigate this right now, but some of the studies have been showing that over sanitizing stuff and going to an excess of preventing germs is causing the opposite effect. But for now, I think that identifying where we would want to be cleaning is what we should be doing, and
Yeah.
figuring out whether or not we should do that should be probably a longer process where we defer to experts to figure that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically all of everything that people have been saying is the reason why I was rephrasing it as let's talk about where you might want to clean instead of tell us what you need to clean. And then we can,
Yeah.
as a con be like, okay, for these kinds of areas, we think that this would be ideal or whatever. And then we can be both consistent across everybody and then make sure that we have everything that people need.
Speaking of which, in Nevada, the restrictions on capacity limits and such are scheduled to be transferred over to be the responsibility of individual counties rather than the state. on May 1st. So don't be surprised if here in Nevada things like capacity limits and spacing requirements, mask requirements, that kind of stuff may change in May.
You can have a 2,000 person convention in Nye County if you could find 2,000 people in Nye County.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably bad too, because those 2,000 people will come from lots of other places. But anyway,
Yeah, grow.
um,
Bad, grow.
I think Lincoln, no, it's Esmeralda County that has all of like 500 people or something. Like it's just absolutely minuscule.
What's the county that they created for the nuclear waste thing that everybody got mad about?
Bullfrog
Have it there. No population.
doesn't exist.
Yeah, I know they got rid of it.
Kill off the germs.
Esmeralda County's population is 783. That's the county that's halfway between here and Vegas.
Nice.
So if we held it
Anyway.
there, we'd have more attendance than people that live there. Huh.
Tremendously more, yes. But there's probably no facility there that would handle 5,000 people. So anyway, joking aside, being silly, let's set that aside. So it's going to transfer to county in May, was what I was told. And along with that is where there will probably be a lot more involvement from the county health department, at which point is probably when I'd like to try to reach out to the county health department and start talking to them about whether we need to do anything special for any of the things that we do that are unusual, in particular things like fursuit lounge and the party floor, and whether or not those are going to be issues or are anticipated to still be issues at the time that the convention is expected to actually happen. And it's still going to evolve and change, and we'll probably have to still be pretty nimble on what we choose to do. But I still feel like we should try to do whatever we reasonably can. Things we can't reasonably do is ask people to use, like, stick with 6 people to an elevator, for example. That's basically a non-starter.
Wasn't it at 4 at one point?
It was at 4. It's now at 6.
Did we
Over
ever?
here, it depends on the size of the elevator too.
Did we ever put out an official guide that included stuff about sanitation?
No.
No, because we haven't been close enough to a con where we would need to make an official anything really.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
all that stuff is liable to change anyway.
yeah, I
if we
mean,
try and do it this early.
like if you go back to like 2014 or stuff like that, the Brony conventions actually had like a whole page in their con book about sanitation, like things you should do at a convention to keep from getting sick.
Oh, I see.
Sleep more.
I think, if I remember correctly, BLC doesn't have a con book, or do we?
It's
We do
digital.
sometimes.
Sometimes. So
Yeah.
Cal for like
Our con book is a sometimes food.
I did have a question on the cable TV head end when we get around to that.
Okay. You want to talk about that here publicly or just independently? I would assume probably.
Well, it was just simply, has any progress been made on that, and just basically, even if they're saying no, if you can get them to tell you what their reservations are specifically, we can put together like a proposal that might address their concerns.
Okay. I haven't been chasing it. There's been no change on that. I'll have to bug them again to ask. But I mean, the more that they want people to have capacity limits on rooms, like right now, there's still capacity limits on convention spaces too. And if those capacity limits still exist, even if they're increased, if they still exist at our target date, then we may still have a really good reason to need to pipe stuff to people's sleeping rooms so they can watch it from there.
Well, one of the
They'll
other
be more
added,
open to it, I think.
one of the
I
other,
guess they're going to be trying it with I was told recently. There's a group coming in a few months that is going to be doing something like that. So, because they're up against capacity limits otherwise.
So a
Yeah.
question. Sorry. A question in the chat. If we booked a room, what is going on with the new delay? What is happening with the rooms?
It should still get transferred.
Please don't call the hotel.
Yep.
It's
It should
slow
still
and
get transferred to the
manual
new
process.
dates. Yep. And I know it sucks that this has been dragged out for so damn long, and people who booked their rooms like probably a year and a half ago at this point are still waiting. And fortunately, I don't really have a better solution. I think it's less fair to. I think it's less fair to everybody to just blow away everyone's reservation and start over. That would be even worse than trying to continue to transfer them.
Yeah, at least as in terms of like the feedback that I see on about, I think people have sort of resigned themselves to the fact that their reservation will just keep moving back until a con takes place. Once solid dates are in hand, then they'll look at it then. I mean, it's not like it was 9 months ago, when things change, when there are a lot of questions. Now people are kind of used to the routine.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that would be the case where people have just kind of started giving up a little bit on like hoping it's going to happen and just like, okay, well, it'll happen when it happens. And I need to just be patient.
Blizz asks, and I think I want to know this too. How is Susie doing?
Retired, but doing fine as far as I understand. Actually, I think I still have her personal phone number. I should call her up and see how she's doing. But yeah, I think she went ahead and took her retirement because didn't seem like there was going to be much for her to do for quite some time until probably about the time she would have retired anyway. So my understanding is she just went ahead and retired early.
Follow-up question.
As did
Who's Susie?
I think Glyph knows that that was our rep for working with
Okay.
working with the hotel and getting like knocking heads to get stuff done.
Right, the
I'm
GSR
gonna
rep.
miss Mo so much.
And yep, he retired too. But the person who replaces him, I think, is the one that we met. The I forget his name though. Dominic, I
No,
think.
no, no. He also changed. There's a third guy, to my knowledge, someone who has worked with us before,
Oh, it's
but it
it's Bill
wasn't next
Nagel.
in line.
That's right. No, it's Bill Nagel. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Bill.
And Bill was the person that we worked with the first couple of years. He was essentially the head of security, or at least as far as we were concerned, our point of contact. I don't think he was actually the head of security at that time. He was our point of contact, and yeah, he's good to work with. You'll like him. Just like all the other security folks there, he's pretty no nonsense and to the point.
Fantastic.
So yeah, lots of new people, lots of turnover, lots of changes. It's probably happened on pretty much all the places where all of you work too, I'm betting. But there have been lots of turnover and lots of layoffs, and hopefully everybody's still holding up okay. So, any other questions? Sorry, that was a little of a downer, but
It's my first time here.
Well, yeah, admittedly, kind of following that, just the layoffs and turnovers. That's been one of my top concerns of things coming back after this. Is just like, are people going to have the money? And
Mhm.
we'll see.
Yeah, we will. Like, I really don't know. I think cons are important enough to the people that go to cons that a lot of them are probably going to make a priority of it regardless of whether or not it's the wise decision. Probably the only people who will stop coming are the ones who really legitimately can't afford it. And even then, half of them probably will still try to come anyway.
And I don't have the data either to back this up, but I'm relatively sure a lot of the people that come to this specific con are ones that can make a drive of it if they needed to, if they needed to cut expenses and stuff, or they're local already. This isn't like
Mhm.
MFF where we probably have international people, but not to the same extent as stuff like MFF and AC do.
We
Yeah.
actually have quite a few international attendees.
Remember, we are the third largest furry con.
I'm just thinking from the graphs. I think I saw like a year or two. I don't remember how long ago it was now because it's been so long.
What's a furry convention?
Furry convention is like VR chat, but in the real.
Oh, real, you say?
If you want to experience it, make up a couple imaginary friends and go stand outside of a restaurant for a while, waiting to get in because it's overfull. And
Well, that's easy to do these days.
Yeah, because they won't let you in anyway.
It's like we're already there.
So, okay. So Josie and Levi wanted to show off. Speaking of VR, you guys wanted to show off some teaser pictures.
We do.
Yeah, one's kind of a memey one, and then one's definitely a little more interesting, a little more serious. So, I'll
I guess put those. Can you put those like in the
yeah, Levi,
YouTube stream and also drop them in the Discord chat for the people who don't have the YouTube stream open? Because I imagine all the people here in the Discord chat are actually not looking at the YouTube stream.
So, for those of you who have been on VR Chat, you may have noticed that there's been kind of a really rough version of the pool and of the GSR that was uploaded to VR Chat. Well, you might want to be sitting down for what I'm about to drop on you. Essentially, we've been working a lot on, and there's a gentleman here who has been very quiet, Kulza, and I think he deserves all the praise in the world for this. He's been doing a lot of modeling for us, and both of these things we're about to show you are things that he has actually created. The first one is the chair at the pool,
Oh Jesus!
and you can see that in the meeting room, in the meeting text chat.
Oh, that's right, because you can't. Maybe I was in the wrong one.
Because I started that about 6 hours ago.
The chair is glorious.
Sup, Kulza? I've seen you in a bit.
everyone knows the chair. I hope you do.
The second one's a bit more, I guess you'd say, complicated, and that is main stage. The room is done, the stage is pretty much done. Just finishing up some things, and it's pretty much ready to go. Now, everything you're seeing is platform independent. It can work on VR Chat, Neos, pretty much anywhere you want it to go, it can go. And that is the main stage.
Neat.
People are going to ask for more.
Like, am I remembering right? Did at some point I see like an animated GIF of this too, or like a video preview of this with the?
We're getting that for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna load up a video. One moment.
You know, that's way more. That's way more lights on that stage than we can actually afford in the real world stage,
That's
right?
the point.
Oh,
More lights. More lasers.
Here's your no budget.
Yeah.
No,
Go
no
ham.
budget necessary. Go nuts. Where's the instructions?
yeah. I guess that's true. Like additional lights in that stage don't cost us more money. So
It reminds me of like over a decade ago when buying lights for a Second Life club setup were Like the lights were no mod, no copy. It's like, and they're all expensive.
Hate those objects. Those are horrible.
Well, if
Well,
price is no object, make the chair bigger and give it wings.
It's going to be a real adventure when we start trying to put together AV after this. Hopefully, our vendors will still exist at that point.
Yeah,
Oh no.
exactly.
Chelseama's running kind of rough right now. They're trying to hold
They
together.
have a GoFundMe. It
Well,
was
and
in the staff lounge, whatever, or something like that at some point.
And then on top of that, most of any suppliers that Calcima gets stuff from are probably also all struggling too.
Hey,
Because that entire industry is struggling.
From the looks of things, Christie Lights, which is the company where we get our stage lights from, has apparently liquidated like 70% of their inventory.
Oh, jeez.
Oof.
Just to keep the lights on, so to speak.
One of our video vendors, Nationwide Video, has apparently liquidated a bunch of shit. There's a whole bunch of stuff no longer in their catalog, which kind of pisses me off, but whatever.
Which one specifically?
The one with the lots of lights that go blinky blink.
And probably swoopy swoop.
Yeah.
And the sounds that go unst, unst,
Is that the one with the free eye laser surgery?
Probably.
Please don't point that at me. My eyes are too bad for laser surgery.
I think I have it somewhere in my Dropbox.
Yeah, I was trying to like dig through real quick and I couldn't find it.
Meanwhile, I still don't think we've set a solid plan for a date of doing an attempted sort of virtual BLFC, but I guess maybe its original June date wouldn't be a bad choice now.
That is kind of the date that we were going for. I'm not sure in terms of an announcement when that's going to be. That's something we'll have to talk about at a later time. But yeah, June, either the original con dates or probably a week after or a week before, depending on what we can do. The biggest thing that we just kind of I have to work on now myself is just we need to kind of arrange some content to go with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we originally wanted it to be at least a few weeks prior so that it could be a test
We
of
could try
how
and
well it would integrate to the physical in-person con. But now that that's postponed again,
we can
the
try and
pressure's off a little bit.
we can try and get Loading Ready Run to do a panel like they just announced they're doing for another FurryCon, which was a surprise for anybody who's familiar with them.
Can't say I've heard of them.
Canadian comedy troupe in Victoria. They do a lot of. They're like an independent production studio at this point, honestly, but it was just weird being like, oh, these people who I've been following for years are now announcing that they're having a panel at a FurryCon. Why are they going to a FurryCon? Oh, it's a virtual FurryCon. That makes more sense. They're probably one of the few few not major content creators, indie content creators, something who've really figured out the pandemic for multiple people and so on. Sorry, I was just reading Weird Al's tweet. We can figure out how to send a camera all the way to Mars, but you can't figure out that vertical video sucks.
Hot take there.
Thank you, Weird Al. I agree.
While we wait for that, are there any other questions?
Are you going to charge for BLFC?
I'd still prefer to. Well, go ahead, Levi.
No, the current plan is not to. I don't see that changing. I have a meeting next week with some of our providers to try and get some costs nailed down and see where we stand and if that's going to be a requirement. I don't expect it to, but it's still up in the air.
Okay.
I think last we checked, the cost of having it be officially an event on some kind of virtual platform was not enough to justify asking people to pay for attendance. That we could just go ahead and eat it and
My
make
only
make it available to everyone.
my only ask is that it's not like all on VR chat.
No, that is a big goal, is to be multi-platform. We
Yeah,
do
and
not want to be exclusive at all.
one of the goals I stated was to still have some form of some way of participating for people with low power computers and people who can't afford a VR setup. I want some accessibility there. Ideally.
Thank you.
But it's all it's all experimental. We'll see how it
Yeah.
works out and how many people use
And
it.
even if it was free, would you be still registering the users?
I think that depends a lot on whether or not we'll need to do that to be able to accommodate preventing people from abusing it and preventing
Yeah.
people from coming in and trolling and such.
Yeah. Just trying to imagine how that's gonna look like.
That's the only reason I can think of to want to require a registration.
Yeah.
And maybe
People
for
can still
metrics, I
abuse.
guess, but
People can still abuse Concat and go make fake accounts. I'm just trying to imagine.
Big thing too with creating accounts is it also kind of, when you create an account, you just register for something. It makes you kind of feel committed to that, like you want to go. Unless you're me with FC, I'm really sorry, but I couldn't go.
Fair enough.
I have a little video preview on my screen. If you want to have a look at it, I'll play it in a minute.
Oh, you're just gonna screen share it within.
Yeah, I'll throw it up on the YouTube screen share as well.
Okay, so
There we go.
Switching back out of the text chat and back into the voice chat.
Ah, I already did it. We're good to go.
I'm still waiting for it to come through, but I assume it will in a moment. Oh, oops! No, I have to actually click it. Apparently.
Now, keep in mind, this is a version with a little bit less content inside, but it just gives you an idea of what we can do in terms of the lighting.
No, it's from that one DJ set where everyone was on the right side of the wall. Everyone's just over there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of lights. Surprised the computer
Yeah,
can
those-
do this.
Will those lights
He's
actually
pretty.
show up on people within there, or are they just still going to be on the floor?
Yes. They do show up. For
They should. Depends on the type of light and the performance settings and whatnot.
The platform.
Yeah, and the platform.
You know, that stage design really looks like it's inspired by the last Rainforest.
I never saw that movie.
I mean, that's pretty similar to the design we had a couple years ago, just with a bigger wall of lights behind it. That room also is pretty remarkably modeled, and when it's actually lit up and you can see it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Done a pretty crazy job on that.
thank you. It was really fun doing all the scans and putting it all together. And major props to you, cause for like getting the stage all modeled up. Looks fantastic.
Yeah, incredible work, guys.
And big credit to Leiko and Band-Aid Drew for the wonderful design.
Oh, this is one of their designs. I see.
Yes,
That
yes.
explains why it has so many lights.
Yep.
And for those of you people in here who might be wondering, yes, you will have a back of house.
What?
Oh yeah, it's all there. It's all modeled. Well, will be modeled at least, and it's gonna look really, really cool.
You mean front of house?
Oh yeah, sorry, front of house.
Yeah, my mistake.
And back of house, yeah.
Yeah,
Back of
most
house
that
is
stuff
back
is modeled already.
backstage.
I'm not sure those are.
Fleet House. That's what.
There will be road cases for shenanigans.
There's road cases.
If there's one thing I've learned is that road cases are only there to throw wrestlers into.
I mean, you're not
Yeah.
wrong.
Well, we can throw Rue in the road cases, and we've done that.
I would imagine Stitch fits in a road case too.
That's that. We do have some more, but we're going to keep that super secret until it's ready to go.
Aren't you guys like posting these models to VR chat fairly regularly every time you update them?
Sort of. So the actual stage design has been kind of kept hush hush. It won't be. We don't really plan to release the stage until it's con time, basically virtual con time. Right now, it's just kind of an empty room with nice lighting.
Got it.
That way, it's kind of encourages people to kind of get together around the event time when they can actually enjoy the stage with all the events that may be planned, like DJs and whatnot.
And if the models for these spaces and rooms and stuff are not available until the day of the event, day of the virtual convention, how long will it take people to get these models uploaded into their own computers or downloaded?
You're saying if they're not available? What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, like if they only become available the day of the con, how much
He's worried about
downloading
how
are
long it'll
people
take
going to
me.
have to do to be able to participate?
Oh, pretty much none at all. It's probably going to be under 50 megabytes. So you just join and
These models aren't huge.
yeah, it's not like you're downloading a massive game or anything. You just join the server or instance, whatever it might be, and it should just load right in within a minute or two at most if you have a slow internet connection.
Okay. I mean that speaks to my naivete in regards to VR chat.
Yeah, there's nothing manual. You just click a button and boom, you're in.
Right. I figured it was that. I just didn't know how much data had to be downloaded to bring in these models and textures and everything.
Yeah, it should be alright.
Life.
Not even that. Just for me, it's like just compared to like the few times I've poked around in AutoCAD or other such things.
Yeah, everything's compressed pretty heavily, so it ends up being not too big in the end.
All right, so the con cost isn't too bad, and the download isn't too bad. But now I've been looking at VR headsets, and holy shit!
That
would
is
be
something
the
I have to
that
pay
would be
like
the reason
$200
why I
on
want
top.
it to be available to people without VR headsets.
Yeah, I have to pay an extra $200 on top of them just to get the inserts for my glasses.
Oh
The
yeah.
thing about VR chat is you can access it through a computer without VR.
Yeah, it might have VR chat in the name, but you can still play it just fine without a VR headset.
Oh yeah, so I've been told. It's just not as exciting.
Yeah, you get the full experience with VR.
Full nausea.
Running to the wall.
Insert headset advertisement here.
Aren't as dynamic when doing the desktop client. That's the sadness I have, and that's just kind of like I can't move like all those other people.
Well, I would imagine a lot of y'all are going to be getting your tax returns pretty soon, so maybe that's a good time to buy a VR headset.
Ooh, Tycho, are you segueing into something for me to talk about?
I'm sure if you want to. I'm actually done at this point. I don't have anything else I want to discuss, but I'd still be happy to chat and answer questions. And
I won't talk heavily about taxes, but I do actually want to say something because I've been trying to tell every furry I can find because so many of them mess it up. Please don't pay anybody to do your taxes unless you for sure need to. There's so many programs. If you make under $72,000, you can go through the IRS programs.
Damn.
There's free tax prep programs. Just please don't pay people unless you need to.
Unless you have like a very unique situation.
I want to say even H&R Block and TurboTax are free for basic.
Only if you go through the correct part of the system.
Oh
If
yeah,
you
that's right.
go-
They bury.
if you
That's
go
right.
in
Yeah,
the
they make it hard.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
go into the paid thing first, they will never direct you to the free thing.
That's right.
Apparently,
forgot to bury it.
TurboTax is having difficulty with Oregon State right now.
They are not having any difficulty with Nevada State
Nor with Washington.
I mean, that's
for similar reasons, I suspect.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
I've just been doing the IRS's volunteer tax prep program, and we're just been helping people. And it's just like, please don't spend money. You don't need to, for most people. And if you do need to spend money, you probably have more than enough money, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that a lot of the system is just structured over bilking people for money for paying taxes.
You need to pay your money.
I mean, we could switch to the system that Canada uses, where they send you a estimated tax filing or tax return, and you either accept it or you send in your own return.
We tried to do that. It didn't work out.
Well,
Yeah,
it
lobbying.
could work out, but the IRS is so underfunded they don't have the money to actually implement a program like that properly.
Well, I think it's time to call the meeting. We can totally
Yeah.
chat about this all we want over in the lounge where everybody can speak. So I would
Thank you.
encourage everybody to join us in the lounge, and I think I'm going to call the meeting at this point.
Roger that.
Thanks for showing up, everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks.